Hi, my name is Isabella Fernandez, and today I'm going to be presenting to you a study abroad trip that I took during the January term of last semester. During this trip, I was able to travel across various countries in Europe and learn about the diverse workplace and the gender and culture issues that took place within the different countries. We started off in Los Angeles, California, where we flew to Barcelona, Spain. And here we are in Barcelona. In Barcelona, I really enjoyed the various cultures that take place here because Barcelona is actually kind of a fusion between Spanish and Catalonian culture. It was very interesting to listen to the Spanish there growing up in a Hispanic household. The Spanish there is very different from the Spanish in Mexico. And just the architecture there is very beautiful. Most of the area was built by Gaudi, and he did very beautiful architecture. As you can see here, we have La Sagrada Familia, the inside of the church, and we have the Parc de Gaudi, which has this really interesting architecture. And here is La Sagrada Familia. Sorry, that's not La Sagrada Familia, that's another church that was within the city. And then it was also very interesting to see the ocean that takes place there. I actually never realized how close Barcelona was to the water, so that was really interesting to see. It reminded me a lot of San Diego, and I really enjoyed that because that is where I'm from. The next place that we went to was Nice, France. So we went ahead and took a bus all the way over to Nice. It took about a day of traveling by bus. In Nice, France, we had the opportunity to walk around and actually tour a perfume factory. We got to see how perfume is made in France, which was really interesting. When I think of traveling to France, I always thought of Paris, like many, but I was able to witness a really true, authentic culture over there in Nice. It's very beautiful. It's right on the water as well. Here I am on the street corner of Nice. These are one of the streets of Nice, the mopeds. And then here is a photo of how it looks when you're about to go into the ocean. And then here is the ocean, the Mediterranean Sea. The water there is very beautiful. It's very blue. And one thing that I did notice here is that unlike a lot of the other places that I visited in Europe, was that Nice, they didn't have a lot of people who were English speaking, whereas the other places that were more touristy had a lot of people who actually spoke English. And Nice kind of gave you more of an authentic feel of France because so many people there were not English speaking, and you really had to kind of try to assimilate to the culture there. The next place that we went on a little day trip over to Monaco, which is an independent country, and I really enjoyed going there because it's not a place that I think I would have traveled to on my own without the study abroad trip. In Monaco, it's one of the richest countries in the world. And we were able to see a lot of various places there. And here is a view of the city from the top, and then this is actually right by where the prince lives in Monaco. And then here are just some photos of a cannon where we once actually used to fire. Monaco was very beautiful, and it was a lot more empty than I imagined because I would imagine it being a very large tourist area, but there was actually not very many people walking around, and it seemed like it was a very little population, perhaps because it's so expensive to live there. and I just really enjoyed being there. Like I said, I wouldn't have gone there without the trip, studying abroad, so it felt like such a privilege to even be there and to walk around. The next place that we went to was a couple hours away, and it was Cinque Terre, Italy. This place was actually my favorite area of the entire trip. It is the coastal area of Italy. And Cinque Terre stands for, or means 5 terraces. So here, there's 5 different little towns on the coast of Italy, which overlook the ocean, and here it is also very empty. This is a very large vacation spot for a lot of the locals in Italy. However, since we went during the winter, a lot of the people who normally live there weren't there. So here's a photo of me overlooking the ocean. And then there's a lot of locally owned shops. This was one of my favorite shops that I actually bought some jewelry from. These were all handcrafted by the man who lives there. It's just the architecture there is just very beautiful. All the houses are very colorful. There's boats everywhere. And then here's a photo of the Italian flag overlooking the ocean. The sunsets there were gorgeous. Really the only people who were there besides us were photographers. It was, as you can see, the streets were really empty because it was the off season. So it was very, very beautiful to be able to see it during such an empty time without the streets being crowded. After Cinque Terre, we went ahead and went over to Pisa, which is one of the more popular sites when people go to Italy. So I was excited to see that because I've always seen pictures of Pisa throughout my life, and it's one of those areas that I've always hoped to visit. In Pisa, Italy, even though my computer froze for a second. In Pisa, Italy, even though I'd always seen photos of it, I really never knew much about the actual history or function, I guess, of it. I didn't realize that there's such religious roots in this area. This was actually a church that's right next to Pisa, which I always thought it was just the Leaning Tower. And then here's inside one of the domes that's next to it. It actually has some of the best acoustics in the world. So they have breaks where an employee will come out and practice the echoes that echo out throughout this round building. And then here I am in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It was also very empty here as well, since we did go during the winter. It was an off season, and there's just the architecture there is just beautiful. The grass and everywhere around it is so well kept, and the inside of the church is very extravagant. I didn't know how beautiful the architecture would be inside of the church. And after this, we went ahead and made our way over to Florence, Italy, which is just a couple hours away. We stayed the longest in Florence. I believe we stayed there for 4 days. And here, we were able to really walk around the city and really get to know it. These are some of the statues outside of where David is actually, the statue of David is held. And then these were just some buildings of the pictures of the architecture surrounding. In Florence, one of the main attractions there is actually the fashion and leather. There's stores everywhere. Everybody is constantly shopping. We were able to go into a leather factory and see how leather is made there and tell the difference between true Italian leather and a lot of the fake leathers that are sold in the streets. It's very rich in culture and food there. This is probably one of my favorite areas for food. We tried tons of different pastas, and we actually were able to attend a cooking class there and learn how to make our own pasta, so that was really fun. One of the things I noticed, though, I didn't really take any photos there because I was very engulfed in the culture while I was there. We were able to wake up early and just walk around the streets while nobody was out, because there a lot of people don't get up until about 11 a.m., especially since we were there on a Sunday. We went out probably about 8 a.m. and there was nobody in the streets because a lot of the stores aren't open and a lot of the people just aren't up. And then after spending a couple days in Florence, we went ahead and made our way over to our last destination in Rome, Italy. This was also one of my favorite areas and probably the place I was most looking forward to go to, because this is definitely a place I've always dreamed of visiting since I was a young girl. In Rome, one of the main things that I think makes it stand out apart from the other places are definitely the ruins. It's so rich in history, and just walking around the city, you're constantly viewing different ruins. This is the Colosseum, probably one of the more famous attractions. And then these ruins are held where Julius Caesar was actually buried. They're just some of the ancient parts of the original city of Rome, and it's truly amazing to see how well they're still held intact, even though a lot of them have been restored. You can still see the true architecture. And then this is the Trevi Fountain, which was also one of the main places I was looking forward to go to on this trip, because that is somewhere I've wanted to see since I was young. Rome was probably the most populated area that we visited. A lot of the places we went to weren't crowded, but Rome was definitely always busy. So yeah, that kind of concludes my presentation. See, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And that concludes this.